burning through it. Burning through the shit. The only party member we are missing now is Locke.
Oh, fucking Locke! What the hell?
He is the most squirrel away of the entire crew. There's actually a hint to his location when we went to get Realm. There's a portrait of the Emperor in that room. If you click on it twice, you get a letter, and that letter tells you to go to the center where the mountains form a star. So on the world map, there's a small mountain range which forms a vague star shape, and there's a blank space of grass in the center of it. If you land on that with the airship, you get this bit, where suddenly you need to split into two parties, and you go into this dungeon where one party goes one way, the other party goes the other way, and you're activating switches to allow each party to go one way or the other.
Yeah, there's a what was it? Was it number 4 or 5 that I was always like, man, I can't believe they're doing all this shit to like switch it up, like you know, like falling through the floors and.
Oh, that was 5. I believe.
That was 5.
Yeah.
So I haven't noticed as many of those types of things in this one, but obviously a much better game altogether. But
certainly.
But I love the switching parties thing, and like, and the idea of like this party can do something that can affect that party.
Yeah.
I feel like when people think about JRPGs, especially of this generation, it was just pretty straightforward. But I still love Final Fantasy being able to like mix it up a bit. This reminds me of Wild Arms, you know? And,
definitely.
And
Wild Arms must have been taking direct inspiration from this.
That's a huge Wild Arms gimmick. Like to me, that's a big reason of how Wild Arms stands out to me. Yeah,
they do it multiple times where your party gets split up, and then it's like, okay, they got to do this, and then the triple R was a pain in the ass. Remember? Because I think that was one where you could send each party member to a specific spot, but each branch needed one specific party member, and you didn't realize which one until they were up there. Yeah.
I wonder if you played the other Wild Arms games, right?
Not to completion.
Do they do that same thing in there? Do they,
Actually, I haven't played any of them to any great extent.
I'd like to know if that's something they said, hey, you know, this worked out, let's keep doing it. Like, that's still a gimmick of the Wild Arms franchise.
I imagine they did that at least for Wild Arms 2. Because Wild Arms 2 apparently is much worse than Wild Arms 1. I only played it for a couple of hours, but it does the same thing Wild Arms 1 does at the beginning, where, okay, pick which member you want to start with. Then you get their branch of the story, then you get someone else's branch, and they meet up after a little bit. God, I should at the very least play through Wild Arms 3. So I think Wild Arms 3, if you look at general critic scores, is where it picks up significantly. Like, Wild Arms is generally mid to high 70s in terms of ratings. Solid 7, as I would call it. Wild Arms 2, God, very, very poor ratings. But then 3 is like mid to high 80s.
You know,
it might actually be a better game.
One thing that Wild Arms did that I really appreciate is that I think keeps it at that solid 7 and keeps it in people's minds is that it is a very fun game to just play this part, walking around.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can dash, you can drop bombs, you can throw your mouse.
It's got this almost Zelda-esque feel to it, where you're using the various tools at hand to explore the world in greater depth, which very few RPGs give you.
What are you guys doing? What kind of funky ant? A switch that just moves Earth.
Yep. I left this one dungeon in, and it's mostly in its entirety just because it is more interesting than most dungeons. You know, most dungeons you go through them, and you go through them, and then you fight a boss, and then your buddy is just standing there. Like, hey buddy, why didn't you meet us out front? We were waiting for you.
You know, buddy.
Like, oh man, I got hungry. I had to get me some of that dim sum.
Gotta get some fucking dim sum.
Get some dim sum, you know me. That's what they call me, the dim sum man.
They call me the dim sum king.
Oh god, we're already turning into lunatics.
The sum of all parts is greater than the dim sum.
What?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, you know what my favorite Tom Clancy novel is?
Oh,
please don't say it, please. The dim sum of all fears.
Oh. You know what my favorite band was back in the late 90s.
Dim Sum 41.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's like Riggs doing his stand-up where he's making dog puns, but then he stops actually. He's almost he's either getting frustrated or so into it, it's hard to tell. But he's like, "Hey guys, do you know what my favorite musician is?" And then before they can answer, "Hey guys, you know what my favorite musician is? It's Papa Roach. It's just Papa Roach. I'm not even gonna front. It's just Papa Roach. You know what my favorite artist is? You know my favorite novelist is Clive Barker. It's just Clive Barker."
Dino. I'm a Chaos Dino.
Yeah.
Or Chaos Dragon?
Chaos Dragon, apparently.
Durgan.
Yeah.
I'm not really a dinosaur, I'm a Durgan.
I'm a modern Durgan, and that's why I don't have any vowels. The
Down-
Durgan app.
Download my latest app, the Google Play Store.
Yeah. So Celeste is tearing enemies apart with just regular physical attacks. She's a beast.
She's just bending them over and stabbing them. You know it.
There's a lot of shit there. She's got a lightsaber, she's got her cutlass, which can just kill enemies by cutting them in half. So as you go through the dungeon...
More like a cut more.
Yeah. As you go through the dungeon, nearly every chest you can find is empty. Because Locke has already been through here and he took all the shit.
Oh, so it's like a little hint.
Yeah.
Like that the greatest thief in the world is thieving it up.
The treasure hunter.
Oh,
So Mog came here, but he couldn't pass. I gotta blow my nose.
Richard is sick.
I'm sick.
And I'm tired.
I think we're both sick and tired.
Yeah. That rum gave me just the nicest little buzz that I needed.
I also have some cold coffee on the counter. If we absolutely need just a little pick-me-up.
A little rum coffee?
Yeah. No, just some coffee. Just some cold coffee. Cold counter coffee.
You just throw it in your face and you're like, whoo, whoo.
Oh, it was so hot.
Do that thing where it's like, you make it seem like you're boiling water and then you throw cold water on a person and they're like, oh, it's cold.
I'm so wet though.
You're still an asshole.
Not in the good way.
You're still a big old dick for throwing cold water on me.
Still not a nice thing to do. For fuck's sake.
My phone was in my pocket.
That's the thing you gotta worry about now. No one can just spontaneously jump into a pool anymore the way they always used to do in commercials.
Well, unless
To show you how fun it is to be a young person.
unless they're young and rich.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then they can just go buy a new
What's
phone.
Mog doing?
The water that we drained has cooled the lava. Although, I think all they did was make the lava a darker shade of red. And that's the only treasure chest that hasn't been opened by Locke, and it contains a ribbon.
How many ribbons are in the game?
There are probably 4. I think that's the only one I actually found. Frankly, I made much better use of the various other relics that are available.
So, compared to the other things, is Ribbon really that good?
Ribbon is handy, as Ribbon always is, but there are other combinations that are much more useful. For instance, the Jewel Box, which gives you the ability to cast 2 spells in a turn, and the Economizer, which reduces the cost of all spells to 1.
Economizer.
Yeah.
It's like the coupon booklet.
Basically, it's a spell guns coupons that they use when they have to go spell gun shopping.
Fuck, I had a really good spell gun song title. I think it was just called Wizards and Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mentioned recently that I just love the phrase wizards and shit.
Yeah, I think that must have been it.
Yeah.
Just like the song, just like there were,
Or just wizard shit.
There was wizards and shit.
Yeah. Here's another dragon. I wonder what element this one will be.
Taffy.
That what? Fuck you.
Taffy element.
Oh, lick me.
You're gonna be chewing for a while.
Man, I'm not gonna be taffy anymore.
You love taffy too.
I love taffy.
You like
Give
that
me some-
saltwater taffy a lot.
Give me some of that saltwater taffy. Oh wait, don't do that because you might literally rip out some of my teeth.
Oh fuck.
I mean, none of them are so loose that like they're gonna just come out, but that is a concern in my mind that my crowns, they could come out. Then you know what? I can live without taffy.
So my issue is dumbass, and I like to try to eat things I'm not supposed to. Like,
Yeah.
I think this bone is soft enough for me.
Oh,
to eat.
yeah. Like your brother, who's
Yeah.
just, I wish I could just eat bones.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, are you a fucking ghoul?
You know, doesn't it suck that our teeth aren't like dogs and we can't just eat bones? Yeah, I guess that does kind of suck, Tony. You're right. Instead, we get cheeseburgers and pizzas.
Yeah. I have so many fucking accessories, by the way. Jesus Christ.
I want a character to get like knocked out of commission and like, you know, story wise, and like, oh no, you know, Locke is gone, and then like everyone is in a really bad position, and then Locke shows up and he's got like 5 rings on each finger and like a bunch of ribbons tied around his forehead, and just like I want to see that in a game where the character has like put every fucking accessory on their body.
Yeah. The way they get around that in Dungeons and Dragons is that, oh, you can't have too many magical items at once or else they'll interact weird, and so it's like, okay, you can have a necklace and then a ring on each finger, and that's about as close and as much as you can get in close proximity.
So how are we supposed to make a character? Like, I mean, even...
I think we might have to talk with Brian and be like, Brian, we need to delay this.
Because...
We need to...
Because I think the thing that
we
happens...
need to plan it for like a month from now.
I think the thing that happens is that Brian has an idea, and I'm like, Brian, you're gonna take charge of this, and then it's Brian, so it doesn't really happen. Not that Brian doesn't follow things through, he just doesn't. I don't think he puts as much.
Well, none of us had discussed this in the past
Yeah.
week, and it wasn't until this afternoon that Brian called me to talk about it. So we need to do this. We need to. It's gonna be fun. We're all going to enjoy it, but we do need to plan it for like a month from now.
Yeah. Well, even
so we can go over characters and we can
Yeah.
plan. He can plan a campaign, right? He can plan some stuff that we can do in a 20 or 30-minute burst on the podcast, because we cannot run a full campaign in an evening. That's insane. I'm not staying up for more than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours for the podcast.
Yeah.
I got to get up at 5 in the morning. I'm not going to play D&D all night. I'm 30. I'm 30.
Some people listening are like, pussy.
I'm 15. Mom, where are my Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
I'm 47, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Mom, where's my wakizashi, Mom? Mom, did you clean my room? Did you move my wakizashi? I had it facing west for feng shui purposes, Mom.
I just don't think that. Yeah, I don't think Brian thought it out, and I so
In
don't
Brian's
know.
in Brian's defense, none of us thought it out.
Well, and I just don't know.
Exactly. Even
I thought maybe we could get through something in an hour. I don't know.
No. Here's how every Dungeons and Dragons campaign I've ever played has gone. We get together at around noon. We start rolling characters. We're done by like 4.
Oh.
Rolling characters, right? Because no one thinks to roll their characters beforehand for some reason, and it's like, I don't know, I think maybe I want to do this. What are you doing? Oh, you're doing that? Well, maybe I should do something different.
Oh God.
Right?
No.
And then you start playing, and then it's just a lot of, oh, I think I'm gonna grapple the troll. How do I grapple the troll? Let me look through the rule book. I forgot how grappling works. And then one round of dice rolling takes like 10 minutes.
I guess I do have an idea, because I got that follow game, and you have to create a character and a supporting character, and your character has to have a want and a need, and your want is something that you just, obviously it's a want. It's like in real life. And then a need is something you absolutely need from the character to your left that they will not give you. And it was so hard to drive that concept into everybody's that I was playing with. And I was like, no, what do you need from them? And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, well, for instance, I need this guy's respect, but he won't give it to me because I'm a crazy, wizard that lives in the dungeon of a beehive.
And so you do have role-playing experience at least. You would just need to be read up on the... This is Locke's, his would-be fiancé, by the way, Rachel. We found the Phoenix Magicite, which brought her back to life for a few seconds. But the Phoenix Magicite was broken, but now she's going to restore it and give us Phoenix.
I'm going to send Brian a message right now that says, Brian, we can't do D&D.
this week.
This week.
All right.
Yeah.
Like a month from now, we'll continue to discuss it, develop characters. It's just there's not enough time within the next 20 hours to do it. And I'm really excited for it. I'm going on the record right now to say I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a shitload of fun. I want to do it.
Yeah.
We just don't have time. And I've had so many experiences where you try to get together and you try to, oh man, I got the Red Hand of Doom campaign book. This is going to be so much fun. Alright, let's make characters. And then 4 hours later, is everyone fucking done? Is everyone done just making characters?
See, and the thing
Are you fucking done, Thomas?
See, I'm pretty easygoing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what my character is. I'm more interested in
In
playing the
character?
role of the character.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you could almost just
Like,
choose something.
yeah.
Or even, like, I give you a
Yeah.
character and then, like, just play with it, right? That's... We do video games. That's what video games are. Someone gives you
I want, yeah, because I feel like a lot of people, when they make characters, are probably like, my name is Gunthar, and I'm the mightiest of warriors, and nothing can hurt me.
The really bad roleplay is just that. It's just everyone wants to be Drist, the only good dark elf who has 2 badass scimitars.
I'm chaotic neutral. You don't know what I'm gonna do. Can I do it all for me?
But I always do like good stuff, because then the ladies are like, oh, Drist, your dick is 11 inches long. Give it to me. Give me the 11-inch dark elf dick. And I'm like, okay.
You roll a die to see how erect you can get it.
Yeah. How erect are you this turn? Oh, you're 4 inches erect.
Oh no.
And Locke just gave us all the stuff he took from the treasures.
And he gave us that wink, that charming ass Locke wink.
Yeah, so now Celeste is like, oh,
jeez.
I got tingles. Like ASMR, but like sexy.
She punches him in the face. She's like, sorry, I just didn't know how to react to that.
Remember, I'm a soldier who was raised as a genetic experiment. I don't really know how to like flirt, so I'm gonna punch you in the balls now because I know I want to be close to your balls, but I don't quite know like how to properly interact.
And I'm scared. When I get scared, I punch things in the balls.
Yeah, we're going on another side quest right now to meet Gao's dad.
Oh.
Yeah, we talked to him earlier. He was like, "Oh, you're here to fix my clock, right?"
He's like, yeah, I threw that kid in the fucking woods when I was younger because I fucking didn't want him.
Basically, yeah.
Threw him in the, what is it, the veil?
The Veld?
Veld?
Yeah. No, really.
Just threw him in the fucking Veld.
His wife died. He went insane. He was convinced his wife gave birth to a demon, and so he carried the demon off to the Veld to die.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. That's Gal's backstory.
Why don't you just have a demon baby? That'd be sweet.
Well, he did think the demon baby killed his wife.
Demon baby.
Speaking of, like, we were talking about role-playing characters a few moments ago, and it reminded me that I actually hate choice in video games, specifically because when I sit down to a game, I want to be told a story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't... How do I put this? I find choice in video games to be facetious, because there are only so many options available anyway, that all you're doing is shunting me down a different hallway, right? Whether I'm doing a Paragon or a Renegade route in Mass Effect, I'm still getting to the end of the game. Now, that can change certain things about the story, obviously, as I go along, but ultimately, I can't do anything. I can't affect the game in an infinite number of ways. I can only affect it in the ways that you've already programmed for me.
Yeah.
And in most games with some degree of choice, those games are weakened because the choices are never as robust as you would like, and everyone right now is closed shopping for Gal. There's this weird, funny, goofy bit in the middle of this heartbreaking backstory, yeah.
We gotta pretty you up, Gal.
Yeah.
What I don't like about the games where you choose how the character's personality is I just never feel like the stories are nearly as fleshed out as a game where it's like...
Because they can't be.
Yeah.
They can't be because they need to have wiggle room. They need to have room for error because your Commander Shepard, maybe they are a Paragon through and through, but they might be wishy-washy, or they might be a Renegade all the way, but they might not be, so they can't be as set in stone. And because you're making those decisions, it doesn't feel... Somehow it feels more impersonal than when I read a story or play a game with a story which is set in stone, but then that story connects with me.
Yeah.
As opposed to when I'm kind of vaguely being like, well, what would I maybe do in this situation? I don't know. As opposed to seeing what a character does, and then it's more metaphorical, and then I can extrapolate my own experiences. Like, again, I'll talk about this a lot when we look at Final Fantasy VII in about, tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Going through Final Fantasy VII, almost everything there is set in stone, and because of that, when I'm looking at everything that Cloud goes through and his friends go through and this world goes through, it's much more metaphorical to me, and because it's metaphorical, it can apply much more personally to me, because there's that, how do I put it? Well, it's metaphor, and so it doesn't alienate. It's not a definitive experience, whereas when you choose, you're saying, okay, this is what happens, so then it's yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? When it's not yours, you're willing to at least exercise your empathy, and I don't know.
Or if I
hate choice in video games.
When a character is specifically one way, and you have to deal with all those decisions that character is gonna make because that's how it's written. You get to it kind of like those little aspects of yourself that you have. Like if a character's a total dick, there is a total dick that lives inside you, but everything else kind of keeps it in check. But it draws on that a bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I get why they're doing that, but now I really know why I'm not like that, because look at what the consequences are. What a dick.
Exactly. And that tears you up emotionally. Whereas if you have the choice, you're like, no, my Commander Shepard is going to stand their ground, they're going to be good, they're going to be righteous, they're going to have the biggest dick on the Citadel. Anyone who has played Mass Effect 2 will appreciate that joke. Whereas...
Does he have the biggest dick on the Citadel?
I play female Shepard, but I imagine she has the biggest strap-on the Citadel. Because she's a hot, powerful lesbian. At least mine was. But you can make that choice, like, no, my Shepard is going to be righteous at all times, whereas if that story was just written, and it's like, Shepard is righteous, but then as shit starts to go down, and it's like, by Mass Effect 3, the Reapers are on Earth, and you get an update from someone on Earth as to what the situation is like, and I think they tell you that the Reapers are killing something like 11 million people a day.
Whoa.
Right? And they're all like, alright, Shepard, we need you to get everything together to get to Earth and fucking stop the Reapers. Granted, we don't know how to stop them, but every day you don't stop them, 11 million people are dying, so by that point, Shepard's under a lot of stress.
Oh god.
And someone acknowledges that. He's like, hey, your pilot, who's voiced by Seth Green, looks at Shepard's vital readings and is like, you're under more stress than when your entire platoon was eaten by a giant fucking space worm. You're under more stress than that 24 hours a day. Try to rest a little bit. And there's one... That's the only moment where Shepard, no matter how you play them, kind of cracks a little bit. Because even if you choose the Paragon option, she's basically like, shut the fuck up. Right? I'm under a lot of stress. But at that point, like, Shepard should be under so much stress that if you weren't making decisions, like, you would expect that character to be fracturing at every moment. At every turn, he or she is just like, I'm about to break apart. But because you can make that choice to make them righteous 24/7, regardless of what's actually happening, that seldom occurs. It occurs that one time, and maybe a couple of other times that I've forgotten.
I think it's good to enjoy a story, book, movie, video game, whatever, where you hate your character sometimes.
Sometimes it's good to hate a character.
You're disappointed in your character, because sometimes you hate yourself.
Sometimes,
sometimes you're disappointed in yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you wish you would have done something differently. And so it's good to, like, live that a bit. When you're playing a game, you're like, fuck, I can't believe this guy did that thing. Like, what a fucker.
So, real quick, this guy is giving us a choice between Ragnarok the Sword or Ragnarok the Esper. Now, Ragnarok the Sword, the most powerful sword in the game, every time you attack with it, it has a chance to cast Flare. Ragnarok the Esper is the only Esper that teaches Ultima. In my opinion, I prefer Ultima because that's a shitload of damage that I can guarantee to every enemy on the screen. Ragnarok, very powerful, especially if I can get multiple attacks in with a turn, but it's not guaranteed. You can learn Ultima with an alternative method, which we're going to gain semi-access to here in a moment. By the way, all these doors were locked. You can't open them until you get locked back in your party, which is what keeps this from being endgame stuff. But you come in here, you talk to this guy, he gives you the Cursed Shield.
I'm fucking sleeping.
Cursed Shield fucks you up, but if you win 255 battles with the Cursed Shield equipped, it becomes the Paladin Shield. It becomes the best shield in the game, and that can teach Ultima, but I'm not going to fight 255 battles.